Welcome to the Dixie Belle YouTube channel. I'm Connie. I am a furniture painter. Obviously, that'd be weird if I wasn't and I was live on the Dixie Belle YouTube channel. You'd all be thinking, what are you doing here? I am a Dixie Belle brand ambassador. I go live here every Tuesday, 2 p.m. my time. I'm from the UK, which is early morning for a lot of you. 2 disclaimers today. Number 1, do not judge the hair. It got wet on a dog walk. It's very humid. And now it's gone like this. It's just what happens. Number 2, I have spent the last 10 minutes searching for my brown wax, because that's what I was going to show you today. I was going to show you this cupboard behind, which is, hi Jackie, it's painted in one of the new colours, one of the new chalk mineral paint colours that Dixie Belle have released, part of their cottage collection. And I was going to just add some brown wax and just keep it really simple. So I tried to overcomplicate this, and I added a stencil because I am a creature that likes all the things. A maximalist, if you may. Morning, Donna. So my red flag, if you like, is trying to make things overcomplicated all the time. In terms of furniture, I want to do all the things, always, and sometimes it can be overkill, and you also need to know when to just keep it simple. And that's probably the worst thing that I can't. I'm not that good at keeping it simple. I always want to do all the crazy things. So this one, it's taken me quite a lot of willpower to not do crazy things. There is no shame in being plain. As I quoted yesterday on my social media channels, I'm gonna frame that quote. Before somebody else takes it of their own, it's mine. No shame in being plain. Basically, I've had a bit of a chaotic weekend. I went down to London on Friday, went to a concert, and I'm not used to it, okay? We live rurally in the countryside. I have lived in a city when I was at uni, but it's not for me, okay? People and buildings and things going on. I like my peace and quiet, and I like my fields, and I like my dog walks, and there was a lot. I mean, don't get me wrong, it was an amazing weekend, but because of that, I felt a little bit frazzled when I got home. So frazzled, in fact, I slept most of Sunday outside in the garden because I was like, I'm going to be ill. Why am I so tired? But it was just because it was a lot. I mean, yeah, like I say, amazing weekend, but whoa, was I tired. So I'm back to, no, I want to say normal, but have I ever really been normal? I'm not sure. I'm back to my normal energy levels today, up to my usual mischievous self. But the events of the weekend have kind of left me in a little bit of a disarray, if you will. And I've just spent the last 10 minutes searching for my brown wax, because that's what I was going to show you. I was just going to say, if you paint something plain, here's a good way to add dimension. Because you all know that I love my waxes, and people always seem really intrigued by it. Every time, no matter how many times I use wax, people still seem intrigued by it. Now, could I find that brown wax? No, I could not. You've never heard of Tenacious D? Get it out. So that's the band that I went to see, Tenacious D. I mean, I've been listening to them since high school, and that's quite a long time ago. Let's not say how long, but it's quite a long time. So the lead singer is Jack Black, and I'm sure you know who he is. Do you not? And I've been listening to them before Jack Black was famous, really. I mean, he was famous, you know. Anyway, that's who Tenacious D are. That's who I went to see. Massive fan. Dream come true. Haven't been to see a gig. Haven't been to a live music concert for years. So Andy treated me. Yeah, it's Jack Black. Yes, he's the lead singer, and he is a phenomenal singer. He's absolutely amazing. He plays the guitar. He's amazing. He's absolutely amazing. So yeah. Anyway, that was my weekend. Absolutely brilliant. But I haven't found my brown wax. And my brown wax is never far away. I've got a big old pot, huge pot. I know I've had it recently because I did the caviar bureau for me. That wasn't that long ago. It was only a couple of projects ago, and I coated the whole thing in brown wax. I know I haven't run out. I never run out of brown wax. And I can't find it. I found every single other colour. I've got grey, I've got white, I've got clear, I've got black. I've got lots and lots of black wax, actually. But the brown. The brown has disappeared, so we're going to make our own coloured wax today and see if it's as good as Best Dang Waxing Brown, which I highly doubt because it takes a lot of beating, that wax. It's my favourite. I'm still looking for it now. My eyes are all over the workshop. There's literally 3 places it could be, and I kind of have to work quite organised in here because it's such a small space. There's not that many places it can be, and I've just heaved this dresser from over there to here so I can show you what I was going to do, and I dropped it on my foot. I put it on my toe, and she's a big old piece, so that hurt. The wax is not in the bureau. The bureau is in its home. It's got paperwork in. I probably sold it in a piece of black furniture. I know, but the last thing I did that was black with brown wax on was the bureau, and it's in its home in the living room with all paperwork in it. So I mean, yeah, if anyone wants to come around and give me a hand looking for it, then feel free, but it's not here, okay? I need Dixie Belle to get me one out ASAP. Because I can't live without it. It's just bizarre. It's really weird because it's always knocking about somewhere. Anyway, let's make our own. Let's make our own, okay? I don't know how well this is going to go, but we'll see. So the first thing I'm going to do is put a coat. Can you pay for my plane fare? No problem. One of the kids polished their school shoes. Chance would be a fine thing. Herbie went to school yesterday in trainers because I am a bad parent and we couldn't find his school shoes anywhere. They were actually upstairs, kicked off under his bed when he got changed immediately from school, even though they're not supposed to wear the shoes upstairs. He was so eager to go outside and get in the pool. Shoes went under the bed and gone. You're the second person in one day that's lost something. Yeah, I think I'm losing my sanity, if I'm quite honest as well. So just add that onto the list. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to do this drawer and see what happens. So this colour is Weeping Willow. Isn't it delightful? It's green, obviously. So, you know, I'm biased anyway because pretty much any green is good for me. But this is like a true sage green. So dried sage, which is a current colour in the Dixie Belle Chalk Mineral Paint line, leans towards brown. But obviously dried sage does kind of go brown. So that's why it's that colour. This true sage green, it's got grey undertones, which sage green has. It's very muted and it's not quite as olivey as cactus. The reason I'm looking over there is because I have a piece painted in cactus over there. Cactus is a very gorgeous colour, but it's not quite as sagey as this. Can't believe it actually took so long to do sage green, actually. I know. I feel like I pushed them. I was just like, more greens, please. Thank you. No, I'm kidding. I'm joking. But yeah, true sage green. This one is going to be really popular. It's also not a million miles away from Juniper, which was a limited edition fall colour. Not last year, the year before, I think, which sold out immediately. Sold out. That was slightly darker, but this is, like I say, a true sage green. Now the light in here, it looks fairly true to colour actually on the screen. I was going to say it's quite dingy here in the UK today because it's rained, as you can tell from the fluff. So anyway, blue sponge. Now you may have seen me use hang on. You may have seen me use a sponge for waxing before. Traditionally speaking, you use a natural bristle brush. There's absolutely nothing wrong in that. In fact, it might even be beneficial if you have got any detailed areas to use a natural bristle brush, because you can get in all the little nooks and crannies. I like a sponge. I find that it adds a really nice even layer. You don't get any streakiness. You can't over apply it with a sponge, I personally don't think anyway. Not that Best Damn Wax really streaks anyway. I found some waxes streak worse than others, but I don't really have that problem with this personally. But yeah, so this clear one, it looks white when you first put it on your sponge, but it's not white, it's clear. It goes on possibly like a little bit hazy, but it soon kind of like rubs out to like a clear wax. So I'm using the edges of the sponge to get in all of those creases, that little kind of framework around here. So like I say, this was actually stenciled until yesterday, when I sanded the stencil off and painted over the top of it, because it just wasn't right. It just didn't look right. It needs to be simple, this one. It needs to be understated and simple. I have put a slight bit of texture in the paint, not by adding anything else into the paint, just by the application of paint, if that makes any sense at all. So if you want heavy texture, then you can add sea spray. If you want a little bit of texture, all you need to do is just change the way that you add the paint onto the surface. So instead of traditional brush strokes like this, I just stippled it on all over. Now, it's very, very subtle, but what that'll do when I apply my coloured wax is hopefully just add a little bit of movement to it. So you can see that that's gone on really, really smooth, even. There's no streakiness, there's no clumps, and that's it. That's clear wax applied. That's how quick it is. Then let's make our brown wax. So you can do this with any colour. You can make, you can make your own coloured wax. So if you wanted to do a two-tone effect, you could mix like a dark green, so like collared greens, for example. You could make your own dark green wax and then use it to sit in all of the kind of areas for shading. I'm going to use brown paint because I wanted to use brown wax, but that's gone walkabout. So here we are, we're making our own. Now I've got chocolate and I've also got coffee bean. Chocolate is lighter, coffee bean is the darkest brown. So I don't know which one to go for. Let's try chocolate. Let's try chocolate. Right. So the thing is to not add too much paint, because what will happen is you'll lose the ability to move that round on your piece. So it'll just go on like paint otherwise if you put too much on. You can build it up, so it's easier to build it up rather than take it away if you go in a little bit too heavy. That looks like chocolate buttercream. Don't eat it though. It does look like chocolate buttercream, doesn't it? Just make sure it's all mixed in really well. And like I said, the only problem with adding too much paint into this is that it will reduce the sort of amount of maneuverability that you've got with wax. That's the reason I like it so much, because it doesn't dry instantly and you can kind of get a really nice transition between your clear wax that I've just applied and then the wax that sits in all the sort of crevices for your shading. You can get quite a smooth transition, whereas because I'm adding paint, it's going to slightly increased drying time. I'm just going to put a little bit of coffee bean in here because it's not dark enough for me. I don't feel like that's going to be too noticeable. You can make it as, obviously, if you wanted to make your own, you can make it any colour, but you can make it as pigmented as you like, really. But just be aware that it just alters the properties of wax ever so slightly, because obviously you're adding paint to it, you're adding something to it. But I've done it before. I've made a custom blue wax, I've made a custom green wax many years ago, and it works absolutely fine. So I wouldn't say that that's a million miles away. It's slightly cooler toned than Best Dang wax. Let's just try it. Let's just try it and see what happens. So usually what I would, is that a, I thought it was a spider on my paint handle. Usually what I'd use to apply coloured wax is a premium chip brush, quite specifically a premium chip brush. I personally find that I get best results with this. The reason being is they have natural bristles, which is something that they lend themselves better to applying wax. They hold on to the wax and distribute the wax better. If you're using a synthetic brush, it just they're too soft. They clog the bristles up and it'll just smear it and make a mess. So you want natural bristles. The other thing I like about it is that it's quite a flat and smallish brush, so it's not too huge and you can't kind of work the stuff, work the wax in. So it gets really nicely into corners like this. Hi, Stephanie. Oh, sounds like you were ill. I hope you're feeling better soon. So yeah, that gets in all the nooks and crannies, and it just drags the wax really nicely. It just applies it really nicely. The other one that I like as well is a French tip brush, which for similar reasons, see, it's quite small, so you can get in all the kind of corners and edges without over applying it. So let's try this concoction and see what happens. Worst case scenario, we can just take it off, because Best Dang wax is water based. Yes, it's got some paint in there, but I have clear wax underneath, which will act as a barrier between the chalk paint, which we've obviously is the green, and the coloured wax, which we've just made. So it's going to act as a barrier. So worst case scenario, I can go in there with a baby wipe or a damp rag and remove it if it looks terrible, until I find my brown wax. I mean, it might have gone. Someone might have come in while I was in London and stolen it. They missed a trick if they did, because they could have stolen my MacBook, and that would have made a more sensible theft. But it's bizarre. I just don't know where it is. Anyway, brown wax. Little bit on the end of the brush. You don't need a huge amount. That's all I've put on. And then I'm just going to take the excess off. This is why I like working on paper plates, because you can kind of take the excess off. It is a slightly cooler tone to Best Dang wax brown. But we'll see. We'll see. We might need to make it a slightly different colour, but we'll see. So all I'm going to do is just concentrate that in the corners. So if you don't like blending, I personally don't. I'm not a blender. If you blend in with Dixie Belle paint, you've got the best paint to do the job. It blends phenomenally. That word. It is absolutely amazing. We'll change the word. It's an amazing paint to blend with, don't get me wrong, but that's just not my kind of style. If you don't like blending, or you want to create some shade and can't blend, won't blend, this is a really good way of adding dimension to an otherwise, this is just painted in one colour, but this is going to add shading, dimension, and it almost gives the effect of a blend, depending on obviously the colour that you use. If I was to go in with black wax, that's going to look more extreme. But this is just a really subtle, this almost looks like a khaki colour, because we've used the clear wax and just tinted it ever so lightly. Phenomenon and doodah, exactly. I'll learn to speak one day, maybe one day. So this almost looks like a khaki colour because you can see the green coming through. And I'm actually a big fan of that. I'm a big fan. I like it. And all that is going to do is just create a frame. So you can see those two drawers side by side. So that's just painted. And that's just the quickest, easiest way to add dimension, depth. They're words that I throw around an awful lot. Depth and dimension. I'm not going to lie. I feel like I like it better than brown wax. Oh. Brown wax was my favourite. I think I've just invented a better one. Stand aside, Dixie Belle. I'm here with custom wax. So yeah, it's really delicate. It's really subtle. And if you get any harsh lines, you get your original sponge. So this is the side that's got a little bit of clear wax residue on it. So it's already got clear wax on. And then what you can do is just really lightly, you don't hardly need any pressure at all, just kind of feather the edge of where the brown wax is transitioning into nothing, or the clear wax, I suppose. So you can just feather that edge if you want it even more subtle. Just got a little bit of a hair there. Hair there, hair there. You just transition it so it's a super subtle line. There's no harsh lines. This is a brand new chip brush. This is the only thing with natural bristle brushes. They do tend to shed a little bit, especially if they're brand new, and this is brand new. So that's even more subtle. So I've just taken a little bit of that wax back. And then if you wanted to take even more back, I did say I like it better than brown wax. Don't tell Dixie Belle. Don't tell them. You can take it back even further. So get your clear wax, get the clean end of the sponge, and then you can use it as an eraser. So if I went in really heavy, I went like here in the middle, and I was like, oh no, what's happened? I've made a terrible mistake and it's going to ruin my whole project. No, just get a little bit of clear wax, clear end of your sponge, because now we've contaminated this with a little bit of the brown, because I just used it to blend the transition. And then all you can do is just magic eraser. And that is because we applied clear wax first. If you don't apply clear wax first, you're going to have a harder time moving the wax around. So the coloured wax, that is, you're going to have a harder time moving that coloured wax around if you go straight over the top of your paint. And that's any paint. Even I have found with silk, which has got a built-in top coat, you would think that that is the barrier. You'd think that it's fine. It is better than a chalk mineral paint because it doesn't grip onto the paint as much, but it's still much easier to control if you've put that clear wax down first. Like I say, you've then got your eraser, you can go back in, you can manipulate it, and you can layer it up. So if you wanted to go in much heavier, you can add a second application of your wax. And this isn't just the wax that I've made. This is the same tutorial that I would do if I was showing you best down wax brown, by the way. This isn't a special application that I'm doing because I've mixed this wax. I've mixed this wax because I can't find my brown wax. So if you were using best down wax in brown or black or grey or white, this would apply exactly the same. It's buildable. You can do a couple of applications if you want a stronger colour. You can blend it away the same. You can create that kind of soft, blown out edge. You don't have to, it's not exclusive to this wax that I've mixed today. So I'm just going to make that kind of blend a little bit out there. And I I don't like a perfectly blended finish anyway. I like it a little bit kind of uneven and a little bit, I definitely don't want it symmetrical, that's for sure. So the other thing I'm going to do as well, just add a little bit more, and then I'm going to go in that like recess bit here. So as well as this being a frame, I'm going to go in that little, I don't know what you call it, I don't know, this trim, is it? One of you smart people will know the official term. I should know the official term, but I don't. So I'm going to take it all. Don't worry if you go over the line or it's a bit messy. Definitely does not need to be perfect, because you go in with your eraser. How would you apply white wax to tall swirl columns either side of the... There's no easy way to apply wax. I hate to say it, but you do need a bit of elbow grease, especially if it's going all over the piece. It's a tough one because I love wax. It's not for everyone, and it's not for every piece. I wouldn't wax the top of this. If I did wax the top, I'd put a top coat over the top so it's more durable. But there's no easy way to wax. I mean, I find it less taxing with a sponge, personally. This is a blue sponge from Dixie Belle, and it's a really fine sponge. So what happens is it doesn't absorb too much of the product, which is why I really like them. They're also ergonomically made, so they fit like really nicely in your hand. You can also chop these up into like little slices if you want to add your coloured wax into corners. You can, but yeah, I find wax so much easier and quicker with one of these. You also use less product if you're using a sponge than you do a brush. Fact. I can definitely say that's a fact because I use both. So I'm just going to take the edge of that sponge, and then these high areas here from this trim, I'm just going to wipe it back, being careful not to take any from this section, from the sort of drawer front. Just wipe it back so it's just left around there. I did take a bit back off here actually. It's so humid today. I should have brought my old fan down out of my bedroom. So there we go. Do you coat over the wax with anything? You can. You definitely can. So the beauty of Best Dang wax, which is this, and again it comes in clear, which is this one. It looks white, but it's clear. Clear, brown, which is the one that's going walkabout, black, grey, and white. There we go. The beauty of Best Dang wax is that it's not a solvent oil-based wax. So in most cases, people will teach you or tell you that waxes always last. So if you're using a wax that isn't Dixie Belle's Best Dang wax, basically, because I don't think there's another one on the market that is the same as this, then everyone will always say waxes last, because water will not sit over an oil-based product like wax. So you can't top coat a water-based top coat over a wax. With this, you absolutely can. Now, there's a couple of exceptions to that. Not exceptions, but there's a couple of not rules. I hate using rules because rules are meant to be broken. Also, there are no rules. Yeah, the star looks cool, doesn't it? I've just put a YouTube video up on the star. Patina range. Most fun I've had for a long time, actually. I really want to do that on a piece of furniture because I think it would look absolutely amazing. Sorry, getting back to the question. Long story short, you can, she is a professional. Jackie is a professional. She's very, very good, actually. Don't sell yourself short, Jackie. She's also my unofficial PA, full-time position pending. What was I going to say? Yes, you can top coat best hang wax, but be careful, because if I went straight in with a water-based top coat now, what it do is smudge and pull, because it's a water-based top coat, it's a water-based wax, and you're basically going to reactivate it with your water-based top coat. So if you want a top coat fairly soon, as in within a couple of days, I would personally advise spraying. I'm not a sprayer, but I've seen other people do it and it's been fine. Or leave it for longer. Now, that's not always convenient in the painting world, because if you're like me, you want it done yesterday. I'm very impatient. Once I get my teeth into a project, I find it hard to not get it done. But you do have to be careful. Now, it's a bit like how long is a piece of string, because if I apply my wax thick, it's going to take longer to dry. So I can't really say how long you need to wait until you can top coat a piece that you've waxed. But I would say at least a couple of weeks if you've applied it fairly thickly. It just depends. Again, it also depends whether you're going over the top of raw wood versus a painted finish. There's lots and lots of variations, but technically, yes, you can. I won't be on the main body of this. I'm just going to be leaving it with the chalk mineral paint and then the wax effect over the top. For the top, I won't be waxing it. I'm going to be doing something different with the top. I don't actually know what that is yet, but I will be doing something different with the top. So that was a long-winded question. She'll answer to anything. Jackie will, actually. I've got a few names that I cannot tell you on here. I'm kidding. So that's all I'm going to do to this piece. I'm just going to create some shading with my rather lovely custom-made wax. I'm also going to do the same to these doors at the bottom. Do exactly the same effect. I may do a little bit around here as well. I'll see how it looks. I'll see how it goes. I'll build it up slowly. And then I've got some really rather nice looking handles. No, they're not. That's not the right handle. That's not the right handle. That's the handle. So these handles for there, and that handle is for the cupboard. That would make more sense, wouldn't it? Yeah. So nice handles. We are going for a cottagey vibe here, and cottage vibe is simple. It's simple. It's fuss free, and classy, which is definitely what I'm not. I haven't decided what to do with the top yet. No, I don't know. I feel like now I've put brown wax here, I need to make this darker with either a colour wash or maybe a stain. But I don't know. I need something that's obviously going to be durable. So yeah, stay tuned for that. Don't know. I'm in one of those moods. I'm in a very undecisive mood at the minute. Is that the right word? Indecisive. Indecisive? I don't know. Undecisive. Indecisive, I think. I don't even know what correct words to use. My mum would kill me, actually, if she heard me talking like that. She was very hot on grammar and English when I was little. So, anyway. I was thinking au naturel with some of your custom wax faded in from the edges. See, I don't know about au naturel. I don't know if it's going to be too pale. Especially with the handles. You know, like the brassy handles. I feel like they pop better against a darker wood. I don't know. Anyway. That'll be for another video. I'll probably still be doing it next week. I might even end up doing the top with you next week. You've been using mint green and grey, but I'm adding different greens that complement the mint and grey. Mint and grey looks indecisive is correct. Thank you. No, not too dark. It won't be too dark. It's just basically, and here's another little snippet of knowledge I'll show to you. Where's my water bottle? So hang on. I'm okay. Where? Why is it when I want something I can never find it? That water does not look okay. I had a water bottle earlier and it's gone. Hang on. Luckily, my house is small and my sink's just there. I'm okay. It was just bottles falling on the floor. I still didn't find the wax. I'm not looking for the wax. This is what I wanted to show you. So this is a continuous mister bottle and it's got tap water in. And if you're looking to stain, so you might think, oh, it's quite a nice colour top actually. It's not bad. I've put some brown paint on the top now. You might think, yeah, it's all right. It's a nice colour. It's a nice colour pine. So I've stripped the wax off this piece because the wax was disgusting, filthy, clogged up with dirt and all sorts. So I stripped the wax, and you think, oh yeah, that looks, you know, it looks quite a nice colour pine. I'm just going to put a varnish on it, and it'll look lovely. No. Do a test first with water. So if you're putting a water-based top coat on top of raw wood, you think it's going to do the same, you think it's going to look the same. No, wood's a trickster. So what happens is you put your water and you think, oh no, we've got orange pine again. So this is actually quite modern pine. It's not old, it's not mellow, it's not antique. The reason I know that is because it had quite a lot of knots in it, and generally the knottier the pine, the less good quality it is. Now I like pine in all shapes and sizes, in all different qualities. I love pine furniture and I love painting it. But it can throw different tones off when you put top coat on. You, like I say, you might think, I mean, look at the colour difference between that and that. That's beautiful. If we could achieve that, it'd be great. But that's the colour that it's going to go when I add a water-based top coat, whether that is Gator Hide, any of the clear coats, it's going to do that. It's going to, all those orangey tones are going to come out, and you're going to think, oh, that was a mistake. So you can counteract that with a colour wash, or a gel stain like Au Naturel is amazing for giving you that kind of bleached wood effect. But yeah, I thought I'd share that with you because that works with all woods. That just doesn't work with pine. So if you've got a nice piece of oak and you think, oh, this is looking rather lovely, when you sanded it down, squirt a bit of water on. If you're using a water-based product, if you're using an oil-based product, put some white spirits on it or mineral spirits, and then that should give you an indication of what that wood is going to do when you put your product on it. I hope that helps. Little tip for you there. You have a dress that was your great grandfather's made it, and those undertones. So there's a few options that you can do to knock out those either warm or orange, in this case undertones. Colour wash, stain, white wax, brown wax, loads and loads of different ways. I've actually got a little pair of pine bedsides over there that are going to be stripped, and one of those techniques is going to be applied to them. So keep an eye out for that. But yeah, as always, I will put the tutorial for stain's the easiest. And then you've got two different types of stain as well from Dixie Belle. You've got a Voodoo gel stain, which is water-based, and that is, I find, better when it's soaked into a raw piece of wood. It can grip onto something. And then you've got the gel stain, the oil-based gel stain, which is the no pain gel stain, and it comes in a tub. That's oil-based, and that almost acts like a paint. A light colour wash would be fab. It would look nice. I just don't know what I'm going to do with it. Light colour wood is really trendy as well. So yeah, the oil-based ones come in a pot, in a tub, in a metal tub. So they sit on the surface more like a paint. Now, if you put them over the top of raw wood, they will be absorbed, but they're really like buildable like paint. So you can build up a really good kind of consistent stain finish with them, especially if there are any inconsistencies in the wood. If you've got dark patches, light patches, any kind of damage on the top as well. Melissa from the Top Drawer RVA uses this a lot. She uses no paint gel stain all the time, and you would not believe the things that it covers. Do you use a knotting solution? Yes, I do. So a knotting solution is a very, very, very specific product to use. I get mine from Amazon, and it basically, when you've got knots in wood, which is mainly pine, that's not brown paint, that's a knot. And what they tend to do over time, not straight away, you'll paint your piece and you'll think it's fine, looks great. Then over time you'll notice little brown circles appearing where those knots are bleeding through into your paint. And it can be apparent on pretty much all colours, because those knots are just terrible for bleed through. There's nothing that stops it other than knotting solution. So this has had knotting solution applied all over to the knots, and then it's also had Boss, which is Dixie Belle's primer for stain blocking, because pine is notoriously bad for bleeding through. So I use both products together in order to combat that. But it is a very, very specific product for knots. You wouldn't want to prime your whole thing with it because it's in a tiny little pot. Yeah, refinishing is a different game all in itself. Staining and stripping things down, it's actually harder work than what you might think. It's harder than painting, because you put green paint on a piece and it's going to come out green. There might be some issues along the way, but you know that the colour that you are putting on your piece is the colour that you are going to get. Staining, no, unpredictable. One last story, because it's 41 minutes in and I've got to go and pick the kids up from school. A few years ago, before I was with Dixie Belle, before I was a Dixie Belle brand ambassador, I had a customer that came to me and she had quite a few pieces off me. Lovely customer. She wanted a stripped oak console table. We sourced one, we got it here, I stripped it. Gorgeous table, beautiful piece, solid oak, gorgeous. I also sourced some water-based wood stain that she specifically wanted. She wanted to knock out any warm tones in the oak. Okay, now if I knew then what I know now, I would have done things a lot differently. I would have done a colour wash, but I didn't. We all learn. We're learning every day. So I ordered this stain that she had found and she wanted the look of, and it was a grey, in hope that it would kind of cancel out those like warm tones. So I was like, okay. We proceeded to put a little bit on. I say we, I mean me. Full accountability. I put a little bit on and it turned it black. It grabbed the pigment, and I'd watered it down as well. It grabbed the stain because the oak was so dry, it just turned it black. You couldn't even see the wood grain. And I was like, oh dear. So we went down a different route. I can't remember what route it was because I think I had PTSD from that job, but I had it here for approximately 6 weeks, something ridiculous. Honestly, it was insane. But it did teach me a lot of things about staining wood. It's not easy, that's for sure. Definitely easier to paint. So yeah, wood staining, refinishing. It's a full-time gig. It's a serious business. Anyway, I've got to call it a day because I've got to go and pick my kids up from school, and it's absolutely chucking it down with rain still. So I've got to go and rescue them from the rain. I'll be back probably. No, if I'm working on this next week, I'll be my hair will be out here. I'll be furious if I'm still working on this next week. So hopefully I'll be able to bring you something new next week, but we'll see because it's a bit anyhow at the moment. We do. You can get a wood conditioner. You can. I think we can anyway. But yeah, wood conditioners. They help with the patchiness, but they don't help necessarily with the colour because that can differ. Anyway, that's another live. That's a whole nother live. Anyway, thank you for joining me today. It's gone on a lot longer than usual. We're approaching the 45-minute mark, so thanks for bearing with. If you've made it all the way to the end, thank you. And I'll see you for for another live next week. I did get the blackout. I fixed it, and she was very happy, and she is still buying pieces of furniture. The kids are in school. They don't stop school until the end of July, towards the end of July. So yeah, we only have 6 weeks off in the summer here. I say we, I mean the kids only have 6 weeks off, and that's my capacity, 6 weeks. So yeah, see you all next week. Something new. Catch you later.